What up, Entourage? Welcome to this Friday night edition of, video. We're going to talk about trades. I know you guys like talking about trades a lot. And sometimes, usually I don't like to trade. I really don't. And oftentimes I end up overspending to get the player I really want, because if you've done my course and been following my content for a while, I only really trade for elite players. I know the thumbnail has CD Lamb. I don't necessarily consider CD Lamb an elite player, but all in all, I usually do pretty big trades. Every once in a while I'll do like a marginal trade, a bench player for a bench player if I just need like a spot starter or something like that. But I wanted to explain the logic, because I know from the outside looking in that, giving Lamar Jackson a late second, third round pick for CD Lamb, a player who oftentimes went in the 10th round, might seem like, I got hosed there. But there is a method to my madness, and we're going to go over that and just trades in general. But before anything, intro. The fantasy football Entourage for winning. All right, guys. So here I have my roster in one of my leagues. Also, guys, if you like the content, want to sponsor a rapper, I'm going to leave my Patreon link. If you're interested in the premium contents, 4 emails a week, I'm going to be sending my updated rankings tomorrow. And then Tuesday, it starts all over again. Waiver wire gems and free agent finds. Wednesday, my complete list of buy, sell, hold, trade targets. Thursday's the first version of the updated or the rankings. Okay. So here's my roster, right? It did have Lamar Jackson, and some of these guys, as you can see, they're on bye or injured. Nick Chubb was our first pick, and this is a followers league where I don't know if you guys came over from Instagram or whatnot. If you haven't, make sure you follow me there at fantasyfootballrapper. There's the biggest followers league where our followers pick our teams. It's called the Fantasy Football Throne. So my followers, we all vote to pick the players, and we selected Nick Chubb first. So that's why when I say we, it's a team effort. And then our second pick was Kenny Galliday. So Nick Chubb was injured, Galliday was injured, Lamar Jackson's been kind of a bust, which is why I don't really preach picking a quarterback early, because if something like that happens, it really hurts your team. But to be quite frank, the other player would have been Juju, who's been just as bad. So it really didn't make that much of a difference. And our fourth pick was, I believe it was DJ Shark. So kind of those first 4 picks were misses. So explains the record 1-5. And when you get yourself in a hole like that, desperate times calls for desperate measures. It doesn't mean you just take a trade and just lose out the trade, because I have seen that before. I've seen this happen quite a few of you guys, and traditionally speaking, my teams do tend to start a little slower because I try to pick guys that are going to be there for me at the end. Well, when that happens and you have a couple of injuries, that can really hurt you, because you could get off to a slow start when you have teams that have a lot of upside guys that may break out later in the year, like we went Dobbins and some other guys, Antonio Gibson, although that's neither here nor there because he was a 10th round pick, but that will happen. So you have to adjust on the way. But with that said, you don't take on trades, because sometimes it's like you weather the storm and then you let somebody else reap the benefits. So if you've held on to some of these guys this long, don't sell right when things are going to get good. But in our situation, going into this week, I didn't even have Boston Scott. So I had to just to make sure I got Boston Scott and just to put a decent running back in place, I spent $75, a $100 fob, spent $75. Yes, I overspent, but again, when you're dealing with a 1-5 record, you have to win. So you got to go all in, and you can't be scared to do that. Okay. Plus, this is an expert league. Even though it's a followers league, it's by experts. Okay. And it's a deep bench. So you got to think of it like this. what am I holding Fob for? When, we have like 7, 8 people on our bench. So there's not going to be any league winners. Plus, any league winner, we kind of got them all. If J.K. Dobbins is a potential league winner, Zach Moss, we have a lot of them already. So again, you got to be aggressive. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. All right. So here was the logic behind trading Lamar. First of all, Lamar can't help us this week, right? Because he has a bye. Okay, we're in a must-win situation, and arguably our best player is on a bye. So that's not going to help us, okay? So our starting lineup would have been Justin Herbert, Antonio Gibson, probably Zach Moss here, which is not ideal, Kenny Galliday, DJ Shark, Darius Slayton, Hayden Hurst, and then this would have had to been like Brashard Perryman. We don't know if Tre'Davious White's going to play, right? All right. The other thing is, we have a starting caliber type of quarterback as our backup that we picked up on waivers, Justin Herbert, right? He has a good matchup. Cool. So at that point, Lamar Jackson's kind of a luxury. So here was my logic. I was like, okay, so what pieces can we trade? I need Galliday this week against Atlanta in what should be a shootout. Okay. DJ Shark has no value. He hasn't really been playing good. Neither has Hayden Hurst. Really nobody on our team has any type of value. Antonio Gibson, people would take him, but they're not going to give me what his upside would be worth. So really my only trade chip at that point was Lamar Jackson. Okay. So I went and I looked and saw, what team could use a quarterback, right? And I was going through teams. So let's see here. Fantasy Football Wolf. He's got Brady. He probably doesn't need Lamar Jackson, right? Then, Mini Beast was actually somebody I considered reaching out to, but he's got Stafford against Atlanta, and he's 3-3. So I don't know how keen he was going to be about giving one of his starters when he's 3-3 and he can't play Lamar Jackson. That's the other thing. When you try to trade a player that's on a bye, it's less desirable, right? Because everybody's trying to win that particular week. Obviously, I'm not going to trade with the person I'm playing against. And let's see these teams. The Prophet, he had Drew Brees, but I believe he has another starter. Drew Brees and Joe Burrow. So I was like, I don't know how much he's going to want Lamar Jackson right now. And I didn't really see any players on the squad that was going to work. So I finally went to Couch. Guru, by the way, has Kyler Murray. He wasn't going to trade for him. All right, so I went to Couch. Couch was the perfect partner because he just had lost Dak Prescott, right? So he lost Dak Prescott. He has Ben, who's okay, but that's nobody, that you're going to be, rejecting Lamar Jackson for. And then he had a strength. He had good wide receivers. He has Allen Robinson. He had Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I guess that's it. And then he had Mark Andrews at tight end. So he kind of had, I figured there would be at least a chance. I knew probably if I went for Allen Robinson, probably wouldn't got him. Obviously not Ridley, but I said maybe. And typically what I tell you guys is don't do the first offer. Negotiate, see what that owner is looking for. But in this instance, I have 7 leagues. I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to study content. I don't have that type of time to really spend. And I don't think I'll ever play in 7 leagues again because I don't like not giving my all in a particular league. I really don't like that at all. So I've been a lot sloppier than usual. Because usually when I was playing 2 leagues, it was like, you got time to really go in and try to work out trades. So, I just sent it. CeeDee Lamb. I was like, that makes the most sense. It's his 3rd wide receiver. There's nobody else that needed a quarterback. And now, okay, so we made some improvements. At least we've given our team a fighting chance. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Whoa. Sorry, guys. I'm in Puerto Rico. Huh. Get out of here. Anyways. So yeah, a quarterback is kind of, sometimes you got to trade a strength. So I look at it like this, like, yes, some might say we lost the trade, but as right now, right? CeeDee Lamb, why is this? What the hell is going on? All right. I don't. So now at least we've given ourselves a fighting chance. You know, we couldn't have two blank spots, being the running back, which Boston Scott came through, and then we would have had, Perryman. At least Lamb, as we speak, he's a wide receiver 1. He's always going to be going up. He looked good. He passed the eye test. He's always going to be going up against the third team's corner. And I don't think the drop off between Lamar and Herbert was that significant. We had no other trade chips, and Herbert already had his bye. He's a plug-and-play starter, so I don't have to worry about carrying another player as a backup quarterback, which is another good thing because you can, use that extra bench spot for a possible breakout player or something like that. So that's why I made this video, because I wanted you guys to know that sometimes you could lose a trade and it still work out, but it has to be a strength. That's how you find a perfect trade partner. He accepted that quick because he had a strength of wide receiver. I had a strength of quarterback. And also, guys, if you're trying to trade a player on a bye, go after teams with winning records. I believe he's 5-1. Okay, because if you go after teams, if you're trying to trade a player on a bye, like I said, he's less desirable, less marketable, but to a team that has a winning record, they can afford to sit him, like Fantasy Football Couch did in our league. So just be cognizant, of who you're looking to trade with. Also, if you're looking to get good players, like if you're looking to move 2 players and get a better player, like an elite player, you're better off going after teams with losing records, because teams with losing records, they need to win now. Okay. Kind of like I need to win now. So a lot of times when they have losing records and then they have people on bye, it means they have holes in their lineup. So they're more willing to take 2-for-1 deals, which I love, because usually the person that gets the best player in the trade wins. So go after those teams that have losing records if you're trying to package 2 players for 1. Okay. That's another trick. If you're trying to get rid of bye players, go after teams with winning teams, because they're more likely to take players on a bye. And then if you're a winning team, pick on those teams that are desperate, okay? And buy their players that are on a bye for super cheap, kind of like what Couch did to us. But I think it's going to work out. I don't think Lamar Jackson quite is will be what he was last year. He hasn't already. He's a QB7. So if you're saying that we got a wide receiver 1 for a QB7, I'll take that any day of the week. Now, I'm not saying CeeDee Lamb is going to finish as a wide receiver 1. He probably won't. I'm realistic. But if something were to happen to Cooper or Gallup, who have had injuries in the past, even if they stay healthy, Dallas defense is a shit show. They're going to be playing from behind. I know Dalton didn't look the best, but I think he'll improve. His first game, new offense. And like I mentioned earlier, he's always going to be going against a team's third corner. Most teams don't even have 1 corner, let alone 3. And he's a wide receiver 1 type of player. And typically, rookie receivers only get better as the year goes on. So just things to keep in mind, because I try to tell you guys, I try to show you guys to stack players, stack quality bench players. This way, you can make trades like this, where you can trade your starter and then you plug in a starter that's almost just as good. Like, there is a world that Justin Herbert can actually finish better than Lamar. It's true. Okay. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying in a vacuum that I wouldn't take Lamar over Herbert. But remember, he's already going to be missing one game. Okay. And I'm not saying that in a vacuum that we didn't lose the trade. But if you ask me whether starting Perryman this week or Lamb, I would say everybody would agree Lamb gives us a lot better chance. And then you add Boston Scott. We could just weather the storm. In a couple of weeks, we'll be getting Chubb back. Next week, Taylor's on a bye right now. We'll be getting him back. So little by little, you just got to, if you have a losing record, you got to treat each game like it's your last. And you could get on a run. Believe that. Believe that, because there's teams that have done it. I've done it. Gone on 6-7 game winning streaks. So don't quit. And don't get rid of players right before they're going to, if you weather the storm this long with guys like Godwin and Galliday and Shark and this and that, don't give them away for cheap. You know what I'm saying? You should have been done that if that was the case, All right, guys? So I hope that was of help to you guys. Now I think I'm going to open it. There's some news and notes too. We'll talk a little bit now about, AB and, what that means to Tampa Bay and how it affects everybody, and then I'll kind of open up for questions, all right? So, all right, guys. AB, it really sucks for Mike Evans, to be quite frank. I think it's going to hurt him more than anyone, because Godwin now kind of becomes what CeeDee Lamb has been for the Dallas Cowboys. He's still going to be playing the slot. So he's still going to be seeing every team's weakest defender. We know how Brady loves the slot and the shorter passes. So I think, each receiver is going to alternate big games, which kind of sucks. So they're all going to cap each other. But I think Godwin has the safest floor. Now we got to see if he remains healthy. He's been kind of not so healthy this year, which is a little troublesome. Hamstrings, things like that could linger. He got injured last year as well. So a little bit concerning. He has played though, this past week. Did okay. Didn't really, make too much noise, but I think Godwin is going to be pretty safe as long as he stays healthy. I would sell Mike Evans like yesterday. If you picked up AB really quick, I will be looking to sell him high as well, because again, or not again, but you're going to have to wait a couple of weeks to use him, okay? So he comes after week 9 or after week 8, so you're not going to use him week 7, you're not going to use him week 8. It'd be kind of hard. It'd be pretty ballsy to use him week 9, depending on what your buys and your roster's like. So maybe week 9 he would be like a flex at best. So then what you got, 10, 11, 12. I guess you got 3 weeks versus, to the playoffs. So you could use him, a good 6 weeks, but I don't think he's going to be the Antonio Brown, not to mention he's 31 years old. He's 31 years old. It's been about a year since he played football, a new offense. So I would just temper expectations, because you got him, you got Godwin, you got Mike Evans, you've got the running backs, you've got the tight ends, Gronk. So it's going to be really, really hard for AB to be more than a wide receiver 3 with upside. If he ends up being a wide receiver 2 in those games, it's going to be like this. It's not going to be like consistent at all. So I wouldn't go out of my way to get AB. I mean, if you get him for free, sure. I would sell him high, because again, even if he ends up being good, it's still 2 or 3 weeks that you have somebody on your bench that you can't use. I think a lot of people make this mistake, and which is why I told people a while ago to sell Eckler. If Eckler comes back, and he's probably will be the same Eckler, but, we just got news today that this injury might linger even longer, and that's what I was hearing. We were hearing 4 to 6 weeks. Some people automatically assume it's going to be like 3 or 4 because they always go with the lower, but that's not always the case, especially when it comes to a hamstring that was severely injured like his was. And now you have the fact that you got Justin Jackson looking good. Josh Kelly was looking good earlier in the year. So you don't want to hold that dead weight ever. Any player over 6 weeks that's going to be injured over 6 weeks, if you don't have an IR spot, I almost would cut them. And I've done that before, and I remember people were like looking at me like I'm crazy. It was back in the day, Des Bryant got injured, and he was going to be injured like 6 to 8 weeks, and I just cut him. This was when Des Bryant was good, by the way. This wasn't like the Ravens, Des Bryant. But I cut him, and people looked at me crazy. But I was like, I know how valuable those bench spots are, and they're even more valuable this year because of COVID, because there was no off season, because we're seeing an increase in injuries. So make sure that you guys are not, you're using your bench space till its full capacity. Okay. So that's what I'm going to say about AB. So Godwin, I don't think it's going to affect him too much. Evans, sell him like yesterday. Rojo, I'm telling everybody to secure that backfield. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, there's 2 backfields that you want to secure right now, okay? Because they're super cheap and they have a lot of upside. And that was the Rams. I was telling everybody, not Malcolm Brown. He has no upside. But I was like, look, get Henderson, get Akers. Both should be cheap or free. And then you secure that Rams backfield, right? I said the same thing about Tampa Bay. Look, everybody's higher on Rojo. He was on my sell list. Why? Because Leonard Fournette is the better talent. Not only the better talent, but the better pass-catching back. Okay? But if you have Rojo, you can either do 2 things. Either sell him, okay, or secure that backfield with Leonard Fournette because they're going to score a lot of points. And everybody's going to be worried about AB and Mike Evans and, everybody else. And those holes are going to be huge. If anything happens to Rojo, Leonard Fournette is an RB1. Anything happens to Leonard Fournette, Rojo is an RB1. And you secured yourself an RB1, which is so hard to find, especially this year. There's like no RB1s. It's like the best running backs have been James Conner and Chris Carson. It's only a matter of time before they get injured like every year. So, yeah, that's a little hack I recommend you guys don't. If Leonard Fournette, or let's say you don't got Rojo or Fournette, but Fournette's available on waivers or just basically free, somebody's just looking to get rid of him, take a shot. Take a shot because the upside is that big where it's going to be worth it. And then Tom Brady's going to ball out. Definitely, I thought he would be a top 5 quarterback before that. He's looked good. He's had some off games. Obviously, Tampa Bay's receivers, they haven't really played too many games where everybody's been healthy, but now they got AB. So I think he'll definitely be top 5, Tom Brady. All right? And the running game, like I mentioned, is going to be lit. All right. I'm going to now look over at the chat. I'm going to take some questions for you guys. All right. Cam or Minshew this week? I like Cam. Minshew going to LA off a bye. They're getting Melvin Ingram back. Not feeling Minshew at all this week. Having to travel across the country. What else? Should I trade Justin Jackson and OBJ for Lockett? No, I wouldn't do that. I think OBJ's got a great matchup this week. No William Jackson. Justin Jackson's got a great matchup this week against Jacksonville. Looked really good against New Orleans. That's typically really tough matchup for running backs. And then Lockett and OBJ could kind of cancel each other out. Lockett's kind of boom or bust. So is OBJ. So I wouldn't do that. Higher upside rest of the season, Gibson or Melvin Gordon. I mean, if you're going to ask me who's better right now, Melvin Gordon, who has more upsides, Gibson, but I'm not so sure Gibson's going to reach the upside because they seem keen on playing J.D. McKissick. And to be quite frank, J.D. McKissick has looked good and actually better than Gibson. And it's interesting. I saw a stat today. He's only lined up at wide receiver 16 snaps out of like 100, whatever they've played. That's a little disturbing. Now, with that said, that could change. Usually for a running back, the last thing to come is the pass catching part of it. Usually doesn't even come the first year. I thought Gibson would be kind of more advanced only because he's been a wide receiver, actually been a wide receiver more than even a running back in college. But with that said, this could be a breakout game for Gibson. Dallas is a shit show. We know they could put up points. And not only have they been bad against their defense is bad, but they've also traditionally been bad against pass catching backs. So let's see now that, he's got 6 weeks under his belt. Are they going to allow him to, are they going to, kind of take the shackles off a little bit and let him run free? I don't know. I'm purely speculating, but I think it is a possibility because we've seen it in the past where teams get more comfortable with their running backs and their running backs also get more comfortable. This guy's only had 33 career carries. So I still think he has more upside, but he comes with more risk. So Melvin Gordon is the better play right now. He was getting a lot of volume. If you could cuff him with Lindsey, that would even be better. Because Melvin Gordon, he has his share of injuries. What's up, rapper? Respect your hard work. Joshua Kelly or Zach Moss? Definitely Kelly. Kelly's got some flex appeal even with Justin Jackson because he'll have a role. And again, it's the Jaguars. Trade AB for Shark? I think I would do that, yeah. Would you trade away Allen, Gaskin, and Cooper for Galliday, Diggs, and Drake? Yeah, I would do that. Need a running back since it makes sense. Yeah, I would do that. Hasty or Damian Harris? I would go with Damian Harris. I got to see, though, too, because I don't know if Jeff Wilson is playing or not. I got to do a checkup on that. So maybe Hasty's might even be, but I doubt it. Damian Harris. San Francisco's going to be without Kwan Alexander, the linebacker. So I think New England's going to try to control the clock. It's at New England, which means San Francisco's traveling across the country. San Francisco traditionally has been not the best at stopping the run on the road. I think New England's going to try to control that clock and keep San Francisco's running game off the field. So I kind of like even Cam Newton, and then Damian Harris could be sneaky. I think the game will be a lot closer coming off a bad loss against the Broncos. What do you think I should target if I wanted to trade Justin Jackson and OBJ? It doesn't work like that, FTD. I get this question. It's the most popular question, and I get everybody wants an answer. But, guys, beauty is based on the beholder. Okay, what I think you should get and what people in your leagues are willing to give you is two different things. So as much as I want to answer your question, you should never go into it, yeah, okay, let's say you want to, I don't know why you want to get rid of those two particular players, because to be quite frank, Justin Jackson, if he stays healthy, could be a potential league winner. Because Eckler, there's really no timetable, no set timetable for his return, and he looked really good. And Anthony Lynn has a history of producing top-tier running backs, okay? So you got to think, instead of thinking about, I want to get rid of these players. That's cool. I have players that I want to get rid of too. But you got to think of who you want to get rid of those players for. What are you trying to package? What is it that your team is missing? Do you have an anchor at wide receiver? Do you need some support? You need a guy with a nice floor because your receivers are boom or bust? Are you missing a running back because, you had Chubb or CMC? And then you got to hope that you can trade the players that you're looking to move for those players. But you got to first see what you want before you know what you can get. And never show your hand and be like, hey, you want OBJ? I know I did that with Lamar, but that's the exception. We were an expert league. I'm not going to bullshit, a bunch of people that have fantasy pages. They all know me. They know my tendencies. They know Lamar's on the bye. They know I'm desperate. Like, I just basically gave him on a silver platter, and it may or may not work out. I'm cool with it. But typically speaking, you want to, let's say you're going after Godwin. You want to say, hey, I'm looking for a receiver, and they might offer Godwin off the back, or maybe they don't. You can't show your cards. You got to have your poker face, and then you got to work your way around it. Okay? Because it's like going up to a chick, and if you tell her right away, I like you, like you're beautiful, and then all of a sudden that puts the power in her hands. You know what I'm saying? You just devalued yourself. Don't devalue your players by just, saying, here, this is who I want to get rid of. Because then that also is like, okay, just like if you go up to a chick, they're going to be like, okay, why is this guy like me? He doesn't even know me. He's creepy. That same thing. They're going to think something's wrong with OBJ. Whoa, why does he want to get rid of OBJ? OBJ's been playing good. Why does he want to get rid of Justin Jackson? And they start looking at the news. They start looking at injuries and things like that. No. Damian Harris or Akers for the rest of the season. I think Akers definitely has more upside but again, it depends on your roster. That's why I always say, put your roster and that's why I have the Facebook group, because most questions, I go in detail. I don't look at things just from birds. Because again, if somebody were to come up to me and say, hey, do you think I should trade Lamar Jackson for CeeDee Lamb? I'd be like, no. But then if I knew their situation, I knew they were 1-5, I knew that they needed a desperate win, I knew that they had no solid wide receiver 3 or flex, and, it changes things. It changes things, guys. But Akers, more often than not, I would go with him. But if you need an immediate start, Damian Harris might be your guy. Is Brandon Cooks a high wide receiver 3, maybe low wide? He might be. I still have my, I'm still have my reservations about Brandon Cooks. Yeah, he lit it up in some pretty nice matchups, but, I don't know. I think he'll be what he's always been. As long as he stays healthy, he'll be boom or bust. There's going to be weeks where, like last week before, where you're happy you started him. Then there's going to be weeks like 2 weeks ago where he put up a donut. Hopefully not as bad, but you get the point. But yes, can he be a wide receiver 3, low wide receiver 2? Absolutely. Should I trade Andrews on 4-2 and have Logan Thomas? Again, those are blanket questions, guys. If you're trading Andrews, though, because you have Logan Thomas, I don't think that's a good reason to trade Andrews, because I don't trust Logan Thomas. He had 42 yards. That was the most he had all year. He got saved by a touchdown. He's not getting a lot of targets, so I don't think that's a reason to trade Andrews because you got Logan Thomas. It's not like if you told me, should I trade Andrews because I got Noah Fant, or even like a Mike Gesicki, something like that, even a Hayden Hurst, but Logan Thomas, no. Gibson or Judy this week? I think they're both kind of the same, honestly. Gut call. I think they're both kind of good plays because KC's going to put up points, so you would expect some of those targets to try to keep up will go to Judy. But Tim Patrick's kind of been on fire. Noah Fant, I love Noah Fant this week. So I think Gibson might be a little safer, even though he hasn't been that safe. But good call, Gibson. Hollywood, Higgins, or CD rest of the year. I'll go with CD, then Higgins, then Hollywood. Who do you rate higher rest of the season standard, Harris or Fournette? I gotta go Fournette. I gotta go Fournette with the upside. If he gets, I just don't. I think they're saving him. Rumor was, or the news was, that he could have played last week, but they've been real conservative with him. Now he's got a couple of weeks to fully heal, to fully grasp the offensive system. I would definitely go with Fournette on the upside play. Should I stash Rager or pick up Fulgham for? No, definitely Fulgham. But I like Rager too. But Fulgham appears better equipped to be a highly targeted receiver than Jalen Rager. He's tearing it up, You want out of the Patriots backfield. Yeah, I feel that. Start Woods or Shark this week. You got to see if Woods even plays. He didn't even practice today, so. All right, guys. I got to get going here. If you could give me some likes before I leave. I got 20 of you guys on right now, only 13 likes. I'm pretty sure more than 13 people like me, so. Appreciate that, guys. And, yeah, if you have any additional comments, just, put it in the comment section. Follow me at Fantasy Football Rapper on Instagram at IMFFRapper for breaking news on Twitter. And then again, if you're interested in the premium content, 4 emails a week, $10, the rest of the season. That's it. I'll leave the Patreon link or email me info.fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. info.fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Love you guys. Peace.